No, I have to stand up here. Okay, hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm Mrs. McGee. I'm one of the 8th grade team leaders. Come on, Kenny.
I'm Mr. Castle. I'm the 8th grade school counselor.
I'm Carla Ivory, and I'm one of the other 8th grade team leaders.
And I'm Tara Kelly. I am the 8th grade administrator.
So we're just gonna go over tonight, like a couple of 8th grade events to put on your calendar so that you kind of know what 8th grade looks like. And then Mr. Castle is gonna talk about high school programs so that you know the application process and the application window and what options your students have for high school next year. Okay.
Where you
Oh,
going?
right. Okay. All right, so that was the team. You just did that. Okay, 8th grade events.
Okay, that's me.
Yeah.
Okay, so these
I
are
think
some of
we
the.
should use this for the people at home.
Perfect. Okay, so these are some of the big 8th grade events this year. The first one is coming up. It's next Thursday, October 5th. We're having our very first Kona Ice Social. It's awesome. I just checked the weather. It's supposed to be a beautiful day. I know it's a week out, but it's supposed to be mid-70s. So we typically have games set out for students. There's music, basketball, and then Kona Ice for purchase. The prices are on the slides, but they are $4, $5, $7. If students would like to purchase, they don't have to. They can still come out and enjoy the day, but that is available for students. Soon after, we have a high school application work time for students who are applying to some of the special high school programs. This is the time where students can come to the media center and work on their essays if they're applying to these special programs. It really is a work time. It's best if students come with something already started. But if they haven't, that's fine. They can sit and work. We give students tips on how to write. But again, it's just the time for them to work on the essay. We can't offer like personalized assistance or feedback, but it is available for students if they need to just come sit and work. Our first field trip for the year is Washington, D.C. Students will be going to the American History Museum and the African American History Museum. That will be December 6th. The cost for that is $30, and you will be getting more information on that permission slips in November.
Okay, so for that trip, we will need some parent chaperones because there'll be groups in the museum. So if you're available to chaperone, you want to clear your calendar for that date because we will be looking for some volunteers to come and help us out. Okay, after in February, we have our 8th grade social. That'll be from 3 o'clock to 4:30. There will be candy for purchase. This will be in the gym. There's more details to come for this. It's still a little ways out. But it'll be like an open gym time where students can come and socialize and play and purchase candy if they'd like. Then June 10th, we have our end of the year 8th grade Baltimore River Cruise. This is an awesome time for students to spend one of their last days here at Helly Wells together. So it's a wonderful, beautiful cruise. It's a 2-hour cruise. Food is provided. The cost for that is $110. And it's just a really lovely time. We went last year and kids had an awesome time. And then our 8th grade promotion after party is June 7th. There will be more details for that coming. The after party is run by the PTSA, so they will provide more information regarding the after party. And that is the same day. That's the same day as 8th grade promotion. So they go from promotion. This year it's scheduled to be at Damascus High School, and then we will come here after for the after party party. So just want to mark your calendars for that's the day for promotion. People are always like, when's promotion? That's the day. Okay, so 8th grade t-shirts, we have grade level t-shirts, 6th grade wears red shirts, 7th grade wears black shirts, and 8th grade wears white t-shirts. And we still have some of those. I know it went out in the Mustang Messenger for like online orders, but we actually still have some 8th grade white t-shirts in stock. Here I think we have medium and large left.
So, adult, medium, and adult large. So if your child wants to get an 8th grade t-shirt, we're gonna sell them in lunch on October 4th and 5th. So the 5th is also the day of the Kona Ice Social, so that would be the day you just wanna send them with like, $20, and then they'll have money for Kona Ice and for getting their t-shirt on that day. Kona Ice also does take half a day. So if they had it like on their little watch, or on their phone, they'll be able to use that to pay.
Okay, these tips for success are for both the school year and for getting into the high school. The first is be intentional. So we do not manage the high school applications. We don't manage when they're due. Each high school program has their due dates and deadlines. So if your child is looking to get into one of the programs, then we highly advocate that you look on the school's website and have your kids do that as well. With the other people, there are some of these programs ask the children to get recommendations. We've asked that the children do that well in advance. Don't wait until the night before, because sometimes the teachers are not available to get those materials done on demand. Charging the Chromebooks, we're using them at more frequency. And so if the children are coming to school without their Chromebooks charged, then they're unable to do the work. I was in a classroom, I actually was covering a class, and I had to say to the child, okay, write down that all this is homework for you, which is not ideal. You want the children to be able to come into the class and get the on-demand support that they can while the assignment is up. And I think when possible, we'll give paper assignments. But the other piece of it is the children, and I said this to each of the children today, shut your Chromebook off at the end of the day, because that's how it gets the updates. And that is what also clears out some of the junk from websites that not necessarily the teachers are sending them to, but those websites that they might be going to when we're not looking at this.
So, you talked about getting the recommendations. So usually how many recommendations are needed? And second part is, do they have to be absolutely from their 8th grade teachers, or they can be any 6th to 8th grade teachers?
I think does depend on the program. Like, for example, if the children are going for the humanities program, there's a required from the social studies teacher. But if they're going to Poolsville, it might have to be the math and science teacher. But I think that seventh grade teachers, but typically it's the 8th grade teachers, because the assignments in the 8th grade classes are more in alignment with what the kids are, what the programs are looking for.
Thank you.
So self-advocacy, we know that when like 2 years ago, we had they were all 6th graders, and we said, parents, don't let go yet, keep monitoring the kids' grades, help them email, make sure that they know how to advocate for themselves, help them through that. Well, they're in the 8th grade now, so maybe if you still want to have that eye on what your child is doing advocacy-wise, maybe have your child copy you on the email that they send to teachers. But we're at this stage now where the kids should be advocating for themselves if they're missing work, or if they are in need of extra help during lunch or after school. However, we know that we'll still reach out to you if your child needs that kind of support, okay? This last one I got from Ms. McGee, so if you've already heard this, I apologize. But more often than not, when children are checking their phone in the middle of the day, they're getting text messages from their parents. It's really hard for your kids to concentrate if they're getting text messages in the middle of class, so please, if you happen to check their grades in the middle of the day and you're like, wait, what is this missing assignment? Please don't ask that until they get home. And Ms. McGee also recommends that Wednesday is a really good day to check grades, not Friday afternoon when everybody's going home for the weekend. Okay, Ms. McGee, I think that's fine.
Oh, okay. I just want to give shout outs to the PTSA. I messed it up.
You want me to?
Yes. Okay, Ms. Kelly, that's it. I just want to give shout outs to the PTSA. If you're not a member of the PTSA, please make yourself a member of the PTSA. The work that they do for our school, for the staff, for the students is, and especially for our eighth graders, is amazing work. Your child will get back more than the $20 that you are going to spend tenfold. So, please invest the $20 to show your support for the PTSA. They throw an amazing after party for our kids. For the eighth graders, they help with our field trips and, and there's nothing we can ask for that the PTSA won't do for our eighth graders to make eighth grade a really memorable year for them. They do like assigns at the end of the year for their send off, and they do so much to help with promotion. They do so much for our eighth graders and for the eighth grade teachers that we can't ever thank them enough. So the thing that you can do is, please join the PTSA. If you have not done that, and also consider being involved in the PTSA. Like a lot of times when you're in elementary school, you were super involved and you did all the things, and then they got to sixth grade and they didn't really want you to do so much, but there are still lots of opportunities for you to be involved in the middle school PTSA. So if you are interested, please, reach out to get involved with our PTSA this year. And also when they go to high school, a lot of parents drop off with their volunteering and their participating. And so the PTSA is like a passion project of mine. Like I'm really about supporting it. So please make sure there's a link on the Hollywell's website where you can go to and you can just sign up right online to join. So I wanted to give them a huge thank you and a huge shout out. Okay, so Mr. Katz is going to talk about high school programs and opportunities. We went over this with the students in advisory today. So if they were in advisory and they were paying attention, they had all of this information. It should be posted in their advisory Canvas page. So they should be knowing that they should be looking at this information and starting to look. And I'll just say the one thing that I tell the kids, if you're not sure if you want to be in a program or not, then apply. And then if you get in, you can always say no, you don't have to go. But if you don't apply, then it's too late. So if they're not sure, they should make sure that they just go ahead and apply. If they want to apply to more than one program because they're not sure what programs they're most interested in, then they should apply to more than one program. If they get into more than one program, then they can choose which one they want to be in and have those options later on. So that's kind of the thing that I really tried to stress with them today. And I also really tried to stress with them today that you go to Montgomery County Public Schools and you have great high school options. If your child decides that they're not interested in doing one of these programs, that's okay too. Like they're going to get a great high school experience. There's tons of clubs and sports and activities and AP classes and opportunities for them to just go to their home school if that's what they want to do. So I try to tell them that they should know what their options are. They should look really carefully at all of the options. There's some great opportunities for kids, but if it's not for your child, like they just need to know that that's okay too, because it's not for everybody. It's not what they want to do. So that's it. Here's Mr. Cassidy.
Thank you. All right, so this is the part where your students and some of you all have been anxious about. So we're getting through it. Everything is listed on the NCPS website. So I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. And then I have time for questions. So what are the high school programs? That's what we'll review today, the types of high school programs, each of the major high school programs, and then the application and the lottery. So we'll explain. All right, so high school programs are available at your home school or other schools and may be tailored to your interests. All right, they provide all students with learning opportunities that enrich and accelerate, and then all local schools and areas provide access to opportunities. So what they're saying is the Clarksburg cluster feeds into our Damascus High School. They may have a program there. We'll get into it. They have programs at Clarksburg High School, and they have programs at Gaithersburg and Seneca and Northwest and Watkins Mill. There are down county consortium programs. The main one that I've known students that have gone to is the Einstein Art Program, but you have to provide them with that transportation, and that's a long ride to down county. So there are two types of high school programs. There's criteria-based for selective programs, and then there are interest-based or lottery programs. So the first one, the programs are competitive. So it's limited space with eligibility requirements, and it requires submission of the common high school application and essays. So basically, those are application programs. Your child has to fill out the application, they have to write the essay, and they have to get it in by the deadline. All right? The other, and then they're selected. So that's the criteria base, they are selected, and they can, some of them may not be, into the program based on the application that they submit. The lottery and interest based, these programs are based on where you live. For the most, only the common high school application is required. Some programs may also require additional information, and it's based on your address on record. The reason, pay attention to that, because so the ones that are offered here in this cluster, they'll be listed in your parent view. So once they post them, they'll be in parent view. But you need to make sure your address is correct. If we do not have your correct address, you will not be able to sign in to your parent view and apply to these programs. The other thing it says is lottery. Lottery is they just go in and pick who they want to be in the program. Some of your students may not be chosen. It depends on how many people apply to that program, and it's lottery based, so it's nobody looking at applications. They're not checking to see how many SSL hours the child has. They just choose them. If your child applied to it, they'll get into it. If not, then they'll go to their regular high school, take the regular classes. And again, so criteria based is application based. They read the essays, they look closely at it, they look at the SSL hours and how well the GPAs are. Those are actually looked at by a committee. Lottery based is basically if the applications are turned in by the deadline, then they'll just pick a name and they'll be in the program. I'm a whole question today. So criteria-based selected programs available to Damascus High School and Clarksburg High School are Poolsville Humanities, Poolsville Ecology, Poolsville Math and Science, the Richard Montgomery IB, Watkins Mill IB, the Einstein Visual Arts Program, and Clarksburg Apps Program. All of those programs are up county besides Einstein. That's the one I was talking about is in Silver Spring here. And those are the ones that are application essays, and they are looked at closely. The lottery base will be Project Lead the Way Biomedical, Middle College Program, the Virtual Middle College Program, Aviation and Aerospace, P-Tech, and the Seneca Valley Career Programs. Your students have seen a lot of what they offer at Seneca if they went on a field trip to Edison and Finance Park. A lot of those programs they offer down county are offered at Seneca High School. Okay. So criteria-based selected programs, that's around Richard Montgomery and Watkins Mill, the IB program, they're the same program, just different schools. So if your child applies to the IB at Watkins Mill or at Richard Montgomery, if they're accepted, they have to go to that school to take the class. They must currently be enrolled in Algebra 1 or higher. So most kids that do apply for the IB, you all looked this information before. They need to at least have Algebra or higher in 1 year of a world language. All right. You go to the next one. The criteria-based selected program at Poolsville High School. So all of these, you'll have a chance to research them. I won't go through all of them, there's a lot of slides. And like we said earlier today, your students had this exact same presentation. So I don't want to bore you with it. So we can go through. This is just Poolsville, what it's offered, and you'll have access to this presentation, correct? Yeah, so you'll have access, so you'll be able to see it. So you can keep going, go to the next, go to the next, next. All right, next. That's what I was talking about earlier. So the high school timeline. October, letters with high school program information will be available in Parent View, like I said before. The app will be available in Parent View by October 6th. So the only thing I just got word today, it may not be up on October 6th because the county is trying to bring in 2 new programs. So if they don't have the programs in the system yet, I think they're gonna wait. But it's supposed to be up October 6th. So I just don't want you to worry about it and call, like, why isn't it up until October 6th? Because they are talking about 2 programs and they may, but it should be in that time span. But the due date is November 3rd. So you can't have, if the kid didn't do the applications and didn't turn in the essay, and you say, can I get an extension? You won't get it, especially for these IB and, the magnet programs. They're basing these programs on students that have the go-get-it attitude, and they're able to research and get what they need so that when they get in these programs, they can keep up because they're very challenging programs. In January, the high school council will meet with students to register at their home high schools. Everyone will register, even if you apply to a different high school program. By then, they should have word on if they were accepted into the programs. But that's why we have them go ahead and register at the high school that they'll be going to, the feeder high school. And then in February, letters will be available in Parent View with a list of programs that students were accepted. So that's the thing. So February, you should hear if your child was accepted into the magnet or IB program and all the others. All right, so the common high school application opens October 6th and will allow students to apply for several programs at once. Again, it's in Parent View. So if you didn't have your Parent View set up, make sure you get it set up. You will find everything you need in Parent View. For lottery programs, nothing is required beyond checking a box and submitting criteria-based program. The HWMS Middle School will offer an essay workshop, like we said before, to help with students. We want them to have something, so please have them have their essays done before they come. That way, if we need to read over it and help them with some grammatical or say what they need to add, we can do that. What we won't do is write the papers for them or tell them what to put in there. All right, so make sure they have something done when they bring it or come to this workshop. The other thing is on the applications, the essays, they can be very descriptive, but they ask for those short answer questions to list. So if it says, what are your hobbies? They can list it because it's a word limit from what they said. It's a word limit. And if they go over the limit, they do not read what's overage. So if they write a sentence like, my interests are, if that my interests are is over the limit, they're not gonna be able to read the rest of what their interests are. They just stop. So if they ask what interests are and things like that, have them listed for the short answer. For the essay, they can add it. The other thing someone told me from the IB at Watkins Mill is he said he wants your students to talk more about why they want to join the program. They don't want them to list, okay, I have 50,000 SSL hours. I had straight A's in geometry. They want to know why you want to teach aerospace. They can talk about maybe my granddad was a pilot. Or why do you want to go to the IB program? They can talk about some way, shape, or form, make it more personal and sentimental for them because they get all the essays, and I'm sure they read a lot of them where people are just listing, you know, the accolades of how smart they are. But he said he would like to have it be more personal. So if they can add that to the essays, that would be good. All right. And if you can click on the first one, visit each school's website. So this is where I was talking about where I didn't want to go into each one. This is available to you all on this form. If you see like the first one, PTAG and apps. So apps is only offered, and like I said, available to those who homeschool to Clarksburg. But so for all of them, it tells you like the first one, PTAG is offered to the Damascus, it's offered to all the high schools. Go there, that's an application program. And if you see under there, it says when they have their information nights. So if you see for Clarksburg, for both of them, it's tonight. It's at 7 o'clock. So after you leave here, you get you something, you can run over there. It's at the high school and they'll talk about it, but they're all listed here. So for Richard Montgomery, if you click on them, you don't have to do it now, but it'll explain all of the programs. So I would suggest you sit with your student and go through this. But make sure they're with you when you're doing all this and let them lead it. All right? Because like I said, it's very competitive and they need to be able to research and figure out what are the criteria for things. And on their sites, they tell you the dates, they tell you what it is you need to do to sign up for the program. So this is available to everybody. So if you have any questions about any of the programs or what the interests are, who you can contact, it's all listed here. If you can also get this on the Hallie Wells website under the high school program heading. And then it'll be under high school program October information session. All right. And I think that's all I got. So do you have any questions? Yes.
Statement about personalized internet. And this is something that my child. This was something that my child actually brought up in the car on the way home today. About personalized internet. If they're applying to more than one program. It makes it a little bit harder to say, this is why I want to apply to the type of program. That has abilities for all of the programs they're applying to.
No,
No,
it depends.
this is a common application, so you go and check off which one they're applying to, and then fill out. The three short answer question is the one essay question, and that goes to all, for my understanding, it goes to all programs they're applying.
Okay.
So it's hard to personalize if you're applying for IB and humanities, for example.
Well, they can talk about why you want to go into a program like that, this chapter. Right. So like, as I already said, once you get the prompt, it'll make it easier for them to answer. But I mean, that's what the IB person told the students when they came, last month. He said he wants to make sure it's personal because they read the same thing. So I guess if you want your kid to get the chances to get in, they'll just go the extra mile just to put it and make it personal. And I think for each one that sees it,
And maybe
they'll
they
go
don't
from
say
there.
specifically, like, I would be a good fit for the IB program, maybe they say, I would be a good fit for this program because.
Right.
Instead of being that.
Right. Yeah. He is.
Question on this middle college program that you have, there are two of them, one is middle college and the other is virtual middle college. Are those available for the people, assuming that they will stay? They still can go for the middle college virtual program, they can take some college courses, or they are two separate programs.
Can you repeat it so the people at home can hear?
So she asked if the middle college program is offered for the people that they are in the Poolsville program. I believe that it's not, they can't be in both. I know the IB or the Poolsville are very challenging as well. So I don't think they'd be able to do that, but I'm not sure. I know middle college in high school is different from the middle college that we talk about. But what you can do is go to that sheet and research it, and then it'll answer that question. Or you can even reach out to the people from the middle college and see if they can do both.
Traditional dual enrollment is still available.
What?
The question from home is, the virtual college program is listed as a lottery program. But is traditional dual enrollment still available? Do you know?
Is that on the sheet?
I don't know. We're not sure.
I'm not clear on the dual enrollment. But if it's not on the sheet, it depends on which high school you're talking about.
So generally, we encourage people to reach out to the specific high schools.
Yeah,
for questions.
Can you repeat that?
generally we refer people to reach out to the specific high schools for that information.
So the next question online is, if my child wants to apply to the P-TECH, do they need to fill a form out?
Yes, if you would like to be in the P-TECH program, that is an application-based program. So you will have to complete the application. And again, if your child is, slated to go into that program, it will be in your parent view. So once you go in parent view on October 6th, if it's in there, you'll be able to fill it out completely. Yes.
Where that one, say is distributed to all institutions, with all
How many
Okay,
recommendations?
so when you check that, then do all programs see what your child is actually applying. If your child is applying to multiple programs, do that all the schools see that your child is applying to all these different programs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Repeat that, please.
So when you apply in parent view, because if there is the one essay that's for all of those magnet and, programs, application programs, they will see them. And when you go to parent view, I remember when I was 8th grade, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, there are boxes you check. So for each program, you'll check the box, and then you'll do the essays and the short answers for those, and then get the recommendations for those specific programs. Yes. Yep, as long as you check in the boxes.
Right.
Yeah, first question is, in the schools see that your child applies to all other programs. I don't know. All the other programs.
Talk about the lottery program. No, so the only ones that they see in parent view is with the essay, so the essay one, yeah, I know what you're saying. So if it's an essay that's required, all of those programs, if you check them off in parent view, we'll see that essay. The lottery ones like apps program, like the Einstein program, they will not see you.
Specifically about the essay, but if they are applying to, let's say, Clarksburg, P-TECH, and Holtzville, will both schools know that son is applying for both Clarksburg and Holtzville?
Like I said, you can check it. If you check Clarksburg and Poolsville in the parent view, then they'll see it. Most people will see it.
So my son is currently doing Mandarin here, but he's mapped to go to domestic. But I understand domestic does not offer Mandarin.
Right.
So what options does he have to be able to continue the language?
If a high school within this cluster offers it, he can't go to that school to take it. But if no school offer Mandarin, then he won't be able to take it. Because they have to have the teacher to be able to teach it.
So Damascus and Clarksburg are in the cluster, is that correct? So will he just come here for just that one lesson or whatever, or can he go to Clarksburg? Can he be eligible to go to Clarksburg?
So say if Clarksburg, if he's supposed to go to Damascus and Clarksburg is offering Mandarin, he'll go to Clarksburg for every class. He won't just go there for one class because it's in that high school.
Does he need to apply, or does he automatically get?
He would automatically, we would work with you, and then they'll do the coast form, and he'll go to Clarksburg because they offer that language. But like I said, if no school offers it, he won't be able to go. He'll.
In the application of these programs, we saw that they need to write the same and the portfolio. So what is a portfolio? What do they need to?
You said a portfolio, they'll explain that. So once you go to the program and the application, they'll explain it, because I'm not sure what it be. Well, okay.
Only some schools require a portfolio, so like if you're doing the, like the Einstein program for arts, in that would require a portfolio. If you're doing like the HWMS humanities program, that does not require a portfolio. And last year, I'm not sure about recommendations, but last year, a bunch of the programs got rid of the requirement for teacher recommendations. So teacher recommendations may or may not be required this year. We haven't heard about teacher recommendations, but last year, most of the programs got rid of the teacher recommendations. So I can just look and see what's on the requirements this year.
There is a column to ask for the recommendation on then
Sorry.
You said that we need teachers' recommendation, assume that they need it, but will that be specified in the, you know, and then they contact the teacher and get their, otherwise.
Yeah, it'll say in the application whether they require a recommendation or not, so we don't know, we can't see we can't see the application. So we don't know what the application in parent view even looks like, we don't know what the requirements are until it comes out, and basically the kids tell us, like, I don't know what their essay questions are gonna be, like, I can't see it, usually the kids gotta tell me, but otherwise we have no idea. So if they need recommendations, it will say in parent view what they need to do, and then they just have to follow all of those steps. So if they need a recommendation from teachers this year, and my guess is that they probably won't, then they should reach out to their teachers and let them know. And I always say it's really nice if they send a nice little email, you know, that says if this is the program I'm applying to, why they want to apply, give a little sample of their writing by writing a really nice email. This is not a great way to ask in between classes. Hey, can you write me recommendations? I don't even ask over. Not a great way to ask because teachers aren't going to remember a nice email, what they're applying for, why they're applying, why they gave their candidate. Helps the teachers to be able to be thinking about them when they write recommendation if they're required this year.
All right, online, they asked if transportation will be provided. I do believe it's provided for the magnet application program. Yes, sir.
If kids write the essay addressing their why on the Common App, do they have to write essays for each program separately?
That's what I'm saying. So once you research and look and see what the applications are and the requirements for each of the programs, they'll let you know if there's an essay or whatever they need to go along with the application.
So can we do separate applications for different schools? So if I submit one for Poolsville, can I go back and submit it for another school, just attaching a different essay?
Yeah, so like I said, I think the magnets all have a common essay, from my understanding of what they were saying in parent view. But for all the other programs, you just have to ask, but they can apply for more than one.
Right, but would it be, if we are personalizing the essay,
Mm,
can you do separate applications? Because I know we need to check boxes if those things are there.
right, you have to, yeah, you gotta complete the forms that they offer.
The problem is pretty general. It will apply to pretty much all of the programs. Like, you're not gonna have to write multiple essays. I think the biggest thing when they're talking about personalizing it is don't regurgitate what they already said in other places in the essay. So when you list all your SSL hours and you list all the clubs and activities that you did, when you write your essay, don't write about all the SSL hours that you did and all the clubs and activities that you were in. Personalize it that way so that it talks more about you as a person and a student and a learner, and what you bring to a learning community. It's a pretty general prompt that will apply to almost all of the programs. And then if humanities programs usually have another separate prompt that is like analyzing primary source documents, and that's an actionable like content sites.
We are, last year they did away with the.
Okay. You got another question?
Yeah.
Mr. Thornett.
Teacher recommendation letters are required for all programs or is only for apps program?
The apps program is separate, so they ask for teacher recommendations. Like Ms. McGee just stated, last year, they didn't require teacher recommendations, but we haven't gotten word.
Can't remember the app program part now. Nobody did? And nobody knew what.
But we don't know.
You won't.
That's what I'm saying, so just make sure when you go to the sites and you look at the program requirements, it'll list everything that you need to do.
So once a kid gets a teacher recommendation letter, there'll be a spot on that application to upload the letter.
No.
No.
2% direct.
Teachers send it direct.
Teachers send the recommendation
When we have
separately.
we filled out. If we had to do it, there was a Google form that we filled out, so I don't know if we'll have to do it or great. We
So
won't,
basically, you won't be able to see what your students, teachers writing about.
all my,
So they're sending it, that's why we tell them to act right. Bring us some cookies or something.
Okay, one more. Nope, never mind. I got the answer for that. Can the student come back? No. All right, here we go. Does the parent need to get the essay from student and paste it in the form? Can the student come back and edit the essay later?
No, that's why it's called a due date. When your child writes an essay and they get it done and you revise it with them like we did when we went to college and in high school, once they submit it, it's submitted. Can't go back and be like, ooh, I forgot something. So that's why it's good for you, once they read it, you can proofread it with them. But there's no going back and like, let me take it back, because when it's submitted, it's submitted. Yes.
So between October 6th and whenever the due date is there a working mode in this application?
Where do they type the essay in their own Google Doc?
October 6th, and when they're due, can parents or students work in a working mode in there, or like you get in there and you just like in a draft code, or you get in there and you just have to submit it?
So I think the kids do it in a Google Doc. The kids make their own document, then they would copy and paste it in there, right?
The kids make their own document. So she said, once they're doing the essay, are they able to revise it within that time? That's why it's from October 6th, and then the deadline is November 3rd. So in between that time, you can have them write it, like you say, in a Google Doc or even a Word, and you just revise it and look at it with them. And then before you submit it, you have that time between October 6th and November 3rd to get it done.
I think we can start filling it out like the other parts of the application, but again, this is one of those things where we can't see it. We don't have access to it, so what it actually looks like, I don't know. If my kids don't go to Montgomery County, and the Cypress kids are not old enough to be in this place yet, so we don't see what it looks like. I think that they can work on it and finish it later, but until it actually comes up, you'll know when you open it, you'll see. I imagine you can probably.
On the high school programs page. On the MCPS high school programs page on the website, there's several bullet points with resources, including the grade 8 common application support guide, which tells you how you can go in and edit it before the meeting.
So that's the thing about this whole process, it's all about the research. So whatever questions you have, there are websites in every place and people you can reach out to, especially with their emails to answer any of the questions. But you want to make sure you get those questions answered before November 3rd. So you just be proactive. Yes. No, so they won't hear, if we have on the timeline, they won't hear back from these programs before February, because we usually get them started in December or registration. And so the high schools are gonna come, we want you just to sign the students up for as if they are going to their feeder high school, just in case they do not get into any of the programs. So you want them to be able to have classes and have a schedule when they start. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'll be a little bit before
Like January.
January.
You're gonna register like they're going to Damascus or Clarksburg, and then if they get into a program.
You know how we register, like students register for their specific classes at the end of the year, like 7th grade. Would that be the same process?
Yes, the high school's actually coming over to talk to the students. Yeah, in January, they're coming to do that. Yeah, the high schools are gonna come and go through the registration cards. And they talk about the, high school, what they have to offer, the electives, and the pathways that they wanna go into.
Then if you they'll go back in and change it. You're gonna assume they're gonna pass all their classes this year and then find out for the next thing. And then if suddenly they're struggling and they're, Spanish 2 and they want to retake Spanish 2, then you'll just contact the high school and you'll put them back in Spanish 2. But everybody's gonna do great Spanish.
Yes, fantastic.
But if they needed to retake a class, then you can just fix it later. But in January, you're gonna assume they're just going to the next level.
So everybody at home, she was asking if your students gonna register in January for high school, and you need to have them register for as if they are going to their feeder school. Yes,
Would you be sharing this lecture?
yes.
The slides are already online,
The slides are already online,
and then we'll add this recording to it as well.
and then we'll add this recording to it as well.
They can hear, the mic is right there.
The mic is right there. We're getting late. It's 7. All right, any other questions? No, it's only offered at Clarksburg High School. Yes, and P-Tech was offered at the Masters. No, that's why it's you can apply for it, so you can be a student that's going to the Masters and apply to go to P-Tech, and if you get in, you'll go to Clarksburg, but it's only offered at Clarksburg. Yes.
Where does this, PowerPoint live on the website?
Under high school programs, one of the headings on.
Yeah.
You know,
Hold on.
what was the other question?
The student always has the right to refuse acceptance, right?
Yeah. Right. She asked again, if your student is accepted into multiple programs or into the program and they figure they change their mind, they do not have to go into the program.
School program, no, second one, 8th grade high school program.
No, that's the first.
Well, there's 2, I guess.
Yeah,
Click on them.
this one is for the form and this presentation here. Yeah.
So we'll update this with this recording so that you can hear my womp voice, but we thank you all for coming. I want to also say, and Mr. Castle might tell me the day, we are inviting the local high schools and then some of the other schools to come in here during a lunch. Do you remember the date?
The 18th of October.
So the 18th of October, they'll all set up all of their paraphernalia all around the cafeteria. So the kids can go and hear more directly from the actual schools about the programs. And I think that is when, if your children are not excited from today's advisory lesson, I think seeing the high school teachers come in here and learning more about that does get a lot of the kids excited. So we thank you all for coming this evening.
One last question.
Go ahead.
So if the kids are applying for multiple programs, so historically, do they really get selected on multiple programs? Or because MCBS knows that, this kid has applied for maybe 6 different programs, we're gonna just select him for one program. I mean,
So we're not a part of the selection process.
like what is the data say from the last year or previous year? Are they getting selected for multiple programs?
We don't know, because we don't necessarily even know how many programs a student applies to. I only know what a student applied to the student.
I mean, I'm just asking you, do you know
Yeah,
what is the data shows from the last
Yeah.
year or previous?
So
year?
we don't get to see the applications, we don't know the programs that the children are selected for, so we're out of this process, other than giving you the information that your children have an option beyond just their feeder school.
As you mentioned about the session where the kids are going to talk to like various schools
Mhm.
during the lunchtime.
Yes,
Can that kind of like session be set where parents can also meet the.
no, that's why the parents all have, so the program that we hold on, yes, you can go to all of their open houses that you're interested in.
One is at Clarksburg tonight.
Yes, at 7 o'clock tonight, they're going over the P-TECH program, and if you are slated to go to Clarksburg, they'll be going over the APS program this evening as well. So we thank you very much. Thank you to the teachers who stayed late. Thank you for Mr. Jordan for recording and Mr. Tackler for all the investors. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.